Boot camps. Just like the military has boot camps, coding itself has boot camps as well. And basically what a boot camp is it takes you from ground zero all the way up to creating your own application. And boot camps such as Dev Mountain, the one sponsoring this video, offer a totally immersive experience. They offer one-on-one mentoring. There's a whole culture to Dev Mountain that's going to allow you to learn and gain the most experience while you're there. And then once you're out of Dev Mountain, that's not where it stops. They also help you start your career. So they'll help you optimize your resume, they'll give you career and interview prep, and then you'll get lifetime access to a thing called Meet and Hire, which will basically get you connected with those employers. They offer web and iOS, and they offer many different ways to join their network, such as immersive, part-time, or if you want to do it online, you can do it that way as well. But as for immersive and part-time, they have different locations in Utah, Texas, and Arizona. If you're interested in Dev Mountain, I'll leave a link for them in the description down below. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the video, and thanks to Dev Mountain for sponsoring this video. Hey, what's up guys, Jared here, and today we're going to be talking about Firestore. Now for those who haven't heard about Firestore, it's a different type of database from Firebase. So they have real-time database and now they have Firestore. They both serve different purposes and we'll go over what those purposes are today. And then I'll show you, of course, how to get started. Now just a disclaimer here, Firestore is still in beta as of October 24th, 2017, today. I know that they're working on fixing a lot of things, so performance and quality and all that kind of stuff, it's not guaranteed, so you wouldn't want to implement this into your main project at the moment, but in the future this is going to be a very useful database. In fact, I'm changing my database over to it as soon as it's out of beta. So if you ever messed around with databases, it's exactly like that. It's just storing data, but they organize things in a much different way, and let's go over that real quick. So I'm going to go into my console right here. Let's go ahead and add a project at the moment, and we're going to use this project when we implement it in our Xcode project as well. So be sure you name it whatever you want to name it. So for my project, I'm just going to go ahead and call this whatever I want, and then put in your country or region, and then create the project. Then you're just going to head over here to your database, and then in here it's going to give you these two options, real-time database or cloud Firestore. So you can use whatever you want. We're teaching about Firestore, so you obviously can't use whatever you want. You're using Firestore. We're of course going to pick Cloud Firestore. I'm going to go ahead and start in test mode, and basically what that does is make your project public so that we can write from anywhere, and so that way we don't need any permissions and whatnot. So now I'm going to go ahead and enable that. And then this happened to me last time as well. It just takes forever to get everything set up, but once you get it set up, you're good to go. So this is Firestore. Now let's talk about how Firestore is organized. So you can basically think of this as you have a collection, and then that collection holds a bunch of documents, which holds a bunch of fields and such. Now we're going to go ahead and add a collection, and we'll go over what a collection is in just a second. But I'm going to go ahead and give this the collection name of users. Go ahead, click next. And then in here, you can see that it has a document ID, and then you have fields in here. So you can add the document ID yourself, or you can just go ahead and add your fields accordingly. It's going to auto ID if you want to do that as well. But for the field here, you can put this as the name, just like anything. You're just going to go ahead and set the name Jared. Then you're going to go ahead and save that. And then that's going to go ahead and add that to your collection, and then add that document right into your collection as well. So if we reload this page, you'll be able to see that I have users, that random ID, and then Jared. Now in here, you can add more fields, just like anything, but you can also add a collection inside of there. Now something I want to make clear here is you can go ahead and add another field, and then you can change certain types to the standard stuff, numbers, booleans, arrays, and timestamps, and all that stuff. Now, something I do want to note here is this object. So this object right here can be a container of whatever fields you want. So if you were to go, let's go ahead and actually say this. I'm going to have an array, and then this array is going to contain an array of objects. Now, if you wanted to do that, you could totally do that, and that is normal. But if you want to take full control of the new querying abilities, this is not going to cut it. What you would want to do is go ahead and add another collection, and let's go ahead and say this is my friends or something like that. And then this collection of your friends is going to have another document, and then you add more fields in there, and so on and so forth. So now that I have this friend here, and let's go ahead and call him Billy Joe. Why not? And then we're going to add that. So if we head back over here, you'll be able to see that I now have a collection of friends, and then I also have these different fields. Now this was confusing to me on whether to use the objects or the collections, and collections are much more queryable. So that's just something to note there. So now if we hop into our friends here, you'll be able to see that I have this person, the random ID, and then the name. Now of course you can add more documents, you can add more friends, all that stuff. Just know that collections are much more queryable than if you have an array of objects. Cool? And querying is the main thing to me that Firestore has added. There's also a different pricing structure to Firestore that you can check out in the link below. Just go ahead and check out their pricing structure and see if it better suits your application. Basically, they charge only for reads and writes, versus where with a real-time database, they charged on the data that was transacted during those reads and writes. So if you're doing a lot of data, it probably would better suit you to go the Firestore route. But the main thing to me about Firestore that they added is the querying abilities, and we'll go over that right now. But first, before we do that, we need to get our Xcode project up and running. So let's go ahead, open up Xcode, create a new Xcode project. Make sure you click a single view application, and then you're going to say this is my Firestore tutorial. Language will be set to Swift. Now go ahead, click next, and create. And then now we're just going to go ahead, open up Terminal. And if you don't know about CocoaPods, go ahead. I'll link them in the description down below. But you would want to go ahead and go to cocoapods.org, install CocoaPods, and then just meet back right here. So now once you have CocoaPods installed, you're going to go ahead and go to the directory where your Firestore project is stored. So I'm going to go ahead and say lscd desktop. I saved mine on the desktop. And then Firestore toot. And then now that we're in here, we're just going to say pod init, and then that's going to go ahead and put a pod file right into our directory right here, in which we can just go ahead and grab our pod file. And then right underneath our use frameworks here, I'm just going to go ahead and say pod, open close apostrophe, in which we're going to say Firebase / core. Then it's going to be the core of Firebase. And then we're going to say pod, this is going to be Firebase / Firestore. And then once we're good with that, you go ahead, hit Command S to save it. Head back over here to Terminal, and we're just going to say pod install. Then while that's installing, you're going to go ahead and close up your Xcode project, because what it does is create an Xcode workspace, and now you're going to be working inside of that Xcode workspace. And now that it's installed, I'm going to go ahead, open up my Firebase tutorial, open up the Xcode workspace, and now we can start working with Firebase inside of our own application. And then inside of here, we want to go ahead and say add Firebase to your iOS application. And inside of here, you're just going to go ahead and put in your bundle ID. And your bundle ID is going to be stored over here. Just go to your Firestore tutorial, architect.firestore and then you're just going to go ahead and grab that. App nickname or whatever. If it's up to the App Store, you want to go ahead and put that in there as well, but we don't care about that. Then we're going to go ahead and download the Google service-info.plist and move that right into our project as well. So now that I have that, we're going to say copy items if needed and add to targets, make sure those are selected. Then you want to go ahead and say finish, and that should be added. Mine has this -2 at the end because I downloaded this multiple times, so go ahead and make sure that's correct. Now, let's go ahead and hit continue. So in here inside of your app delegate, you just want to go ahead and say import Firebase. And then down here inside of your did finish launching with options right before return true, you need to go ahead and say Firebase app. And we already have all these added. And then now we also have all those added, and we're good to go. So that was easy. That was all we needed to do to get Firebase installed. Now what I want to do is let's go ahead and learn about Firestore. So I'm going to say import Firestore, Firebase Firestore. I don't know why they have Firebase Firestore, but nevertheless, you're going to use Firebase Firestore. Then go ahead down in here. First things first, I'm just going to go ahead and try reading that data that we already have in there. And this is where it all becomes super easy. I'm going to go ahead and say let my DB or database equal Firestore.Firestore. And then that's it. Then we're going to go ahead and say db.collection, and then we're just going to go to the collection path of my users as I have. So just go ahead and add in your users. Dot, and then you can put where. So this is where where querying is so much better. So let's go through limiting, querying, and all that kind of stuff right now. So I'm going to go ahead and say dot where field, in which let's go ahead and say the field name is equal to, let's say, Jared. So now it's going to go ahead and grab the users whose name are Jared. Now something to know here is Firestore is still case sensitive, just like real-time database, sadly enough. But if you want to search for something and you put in a lowercase Jared or something like that and it's uppercase, it's not going to work. But now that we have that where field in there, I'm just going to go ahead and say .get documents. And then it's going to go ahead and grab the documents, or right here, it's going to grab this document and then all the information that's inside of there. So let's go ahead and do that with the completion. We want a snapshot, error, and then we want to go down here. Then down here, we want to break apart this information and try to grab that name directly. But for our snapshot here, we're going to go ahead and say if error is not equal to nil, meaning that we have an error, then we're going to do that. Otherwise, we'll continue on as things are normally. So I'm going to go ahead and say print out whatever error comes through if we have an error. Now inside of this else statement here, let's try and grab the name. We can see that we get documents. So it's grabbing all the documents whose names are Jared, and it's pretty quick about it all as well. But if I want to go ahead and just grab one of the documents and cycle through it, I just need to go ahead and say for document in snapshot.documents. Then we're going to go in here, and then this is an unwrapped, so go ahead and unwrap it just by adding some parentheses and then an exclamation mark at the end. Now let's go ahead and say I want to grab the name from that document, or let's go ahead and add an age maybe. So I'm going to go into the field here, let's say the age, and then we're going to set this as 19. We'll put that as a number, I guess. Then add that. So age 19, let's go back here, and let's try grabbing both the name and the age. So I'm going to go ahead and say let my name equal document.data, and then as you can see, this is a dictionary. So you can say string any. So that string right there is going to be your age or your name, and then at this one right here, this is going to return any. So you need to specify whatever you're returning. If you know it's going to be a number of 19, then you just go ahead and say as integer or whatever. But you go ahead and say document.data, that's already a dictionary. So you go open close bracket, and then you can just go ahead and write inside of there. Let's try grabbing that name. And then now I'm going to go ahead and print out that name. Now in order to avoid adding any exclamation points, because I know you guys hate that, I'm going to say if let name equal that. Then we're going to go ahead, open close curly bracket, and there you go. So if let name equal document.data as string, print name. So that if let statement basically just prevents it from crashing if we do get something wrong. And now if we build and run this, so as you can see, we used a query to find the file with Jared. Now let's go ahead and add another file in there and try grabbing just him. Or let's say we have two Jareds. Let's try grabbing both of those Jareds. Stuff like that. So I'm going to go in here, add a document, and let's go ahead and add another person with the name of Bob, I guess. And then I'm just going to go auto ID, save. And then now that that's been added, I'm going to go ahead and add another document, random ID. The name, I'm going to go ahead and give this the name of Jared as well, and see if we can return that one as well. So let's go ahead, build and run this and see if we get two Jareds at the start, and then let's also see if we work with Bob. So there you have it. We now have two Jareds being printed out. Now if you want to switch this to Bob, it'll work out great too. And as you can see, it just printed out Bob right there. Sweet. So now another thing I wanted to do is let's go ahead and learn about limits. So now I'm going to go ahead and put in Jared. And as you know, we printed out 2 before, but now let's go ahead and say dot limit 2 and just say 1. So now we're going to only print out 1. And there you have it. We only printed out 1 Jared that time. Now if I want to grab that age, it's pretty simple. You just go ahead and say if let age equal, I'm going to do exactly what we did before, just with age. So I'm going to go ahead and say equal document.data. We're going to switch this out for age, in which this is also going to be an integer now as well. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and put some curly brackets around that. And then inside of here, I also want to print out the age. So go ahead and put age right after that. So print name age. Now let's go ahead and build and run this, and it should grab everyone named Jared and their ages. So let's try this out. So there you have it. I have Jared is 60 and Jared 19. Sweet. So those are the ones that I've added. Now let's talk about ordering. And something that I came across when I was first doing this is if I wanted to say where name field is equal to Jared, and then say I want to order by the age, a dot order by, and this is something that I want to make clear. So with this order by here, you can't order by a different variable. You have to order by the name, or whatever you're searching for during your where. So say for instance, I wanted to order by these Jareds that are coming through. So I'm going to say dot order by field. I'm going to go ahead and put in, let's put in the age here. And then descending, we'll set that equal to true. Let's test this out, and I'll show you what error I get. So as you can see right down here, the query requires an index. You can create it here, and it gives you this place to create an index. So what I did is I went into Firebase here, I created this index for the age, and it still didn't work. So I'm not too sure if this is a beta thing or if this is just not permitted overall in Firebase. And you can see that down here inside of their documentation, that range, filter, and first order by on different fields. So you can see that those are not permittable to a certain extent. I'm not too sure why it's not permittable, because that seems a little bit weird. So it sounds like what I'd need to do to fix this is just go ahead and say users.order by age, and then inside of the application, I filter out everyone that's not named Jared. That seems weird to me. I'm not too sure why that is that, but let's go ahead and build and run that, and you'd be able to see every person that has an age now. And they're ordered correctly as well. So as you can see now, after building and running it, I got Jared, Bob, then Jared again, and they're all sorted by their age. Now another thing you can do, and I'll just throw this out here, is you have, as normal, you have the end at or before, or you can say .start at or before. So if you wanted to start at the age of, let's say, 15, then you would start at that age and you'd go down the list, and so on and so forth. Now, one of the big things to me about this whole querying is now I can have multiple where fields, which is incredibly amazing now. So I can say where field, let's say the name is Jared and is equal to Jared, like so. Make sure it's capitalized properly. And then for this other one, I want to go ahead and say where field, the age is equal to 19. You can add that in there now. That used to not be a thing. So now we can build and run that, and that's just going to grab Jared, whose age is 19. So there you have it, Jared 19. So you can have as many where fields as you want. That was the main change for me that came with Firestore. So I'm happy it's here now. But also, I'm sad about the ordering. I'm not too sure why it's not doing that, but maybe I'm adding indexes improperly or something, but sounds like it's just not doable, which I hope they can make doable in the future, because once they do that, that would be perfect. But anyway, now with that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and start writing to Firebase. Fairly simple. All you go ahead and say is say db.collection. I'm going to go ahead and write to my users collection. I'm going to go ahead and write to my users collection, and then dot, and then we're going to add a document. So just like anything, you're going to go ahead and add a document with the data. Now this add document function that you select right here, it's going to add that document, but it uses an auto ID. So if you want to add a document without an auto ID, you just say document with a path, and then you can say this is going to have the path of Jared or something like that. Then you say dot, and then you're just going to say set data, and then you're going to put in your document data that you want to add. So let's go ahead and add some data to Firestore. It's pretty simple. You just go ahead and say var name will be equal to Jared. I'm just going to create a variable with a name and an age. So let's do that. And then once we have those, you need to go ahead and add that into a dictionary. Pretty simple. I'm just going to go ahead and say var dictionary will be equal to open close brackets, in which you're going to go ahead and put in your name, colon, and then you're put in your variable that you created here, or if you want to put in a string, do whatever you want. Then you're going to hit comma, and then you're going to add in age, colon, and then this will be equal to the age variable that I created right up here. So now that I have those added, I can just put that right into my set data. And then for this dictionary, it needs to be identified with whatever you want it to be. So I'm going to say var dictionary, in which this is going to be string colon any, and then we'll set that equal to the variables that we had before. So there you have it. Now I have this dictionary, and I'm now going to set this data underneath the document ID of Jared. So let's go ahead and build and run that, and we should be able to see that data being posted as soon as our app is built and ran. And there you have it. We have a new document with the name of Jared. We go in here, Billy67. Sweet. Now again, if you wanted to have a random auto ID, you can just say add document, and then you're just going to put in this dictionary, like so. Now, kind of going back to where we were querying things, one thing I wanted to look at is we added in one of these a collection inside of one of our documents. As you can see, we have friends. So our friend in here, we added a name, but let's go ahead and add another one, and I'm going to give this auto ID, and then we're going to give this person another name. So those two have been added. Now, how do we grab those friends? So it's pretty simple. All you need... So there you have it. Now we have those friends in there. Now let's say I want to just grab Billy Joe. It's pretty simple. All you need to go do is exactly what we did before. We're just going to add a few things. So we're just going to say dot document. Now for our document path here, this is going to be the ID of the user that we're going into, who is this last person here. So I'm going to go ahead and take that ID, copy that, place that right in there. Then we're going to go ahead in here and then just start this all over. So we're going to say dot collection, in which this collection path is going to be friends. and then where field, and let's go ahead and set this. The name is equal to Billy Joe. And you can add as many wheres as we've done before, but if you want to erase that age there, we didn't add any ages onto any of our friends. But anyway, let's go ahead and build and run this, and you should be able to see that Billy Joe is being grabbed inside of our friends list from that user. So that was basically what I wanted to go over. So you have collection, the document collection, and then you just act as normal. You start all over, where field, order, whatever you want to do. So there you have it. That is Firestore. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments down below. I personally am liking the changes that they're adding. It's not a huge drastic change. You're going to have to handle your data a little bit differently than real-time database, but overall better querying and a few other things like that just makes it that much better, and I like it a lot. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have an awesome day. Be sure to subscribe for future videos, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.